Welcome to In the Mix, a DJ series. I'm your host, DJ RunDat. I'm on a mission to inspire and support you in reaching your goals in life and business. Do you want to know the secrets to growing a profitable DJ business? Tune in to hear real-life stories from DJs across the globe who have grown successful DJ businesses. Hi, welcome to In the Mix, a DJ series. I'm your host, DJ RunDat. Today, I have a special guest, Howard Wallach, Chicago's top dog. Hey!
Good to be here.
Awesome. Well, I want to know, how did you get that name?
You know, I run this multi-op. I've been in this game since 1987. And along the way, you know, we built up a roster of interactive entertainers, right? The dancers. And I remember calling them our dog pound. And I think someone just said, well, then you must be the top dog. I said, it sticks. I like it. You guys be the dog pound and I'll be top dog. And it became my nickname. Now, here's the cool thing. I did it before Snoop Dogg. That's why it's D-A-W-G. It's not D-O-G-G.
Okay.
Not D-O-double-G.
That's funny. That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes just these nicknames come our way. I mean, RunDat was a name I actually gave myself.
How did you get that?
Well, so all the reggae music I listen to, all the reggae and dancehall, the Jamaican music, they always say RunDat. And it's kind of, and sometimes it's like when the artist is kind of bossing around their DJ who's running their tracks, they'd be like, RunDat. You know, it's kind of means like drop the rhythm. And so, and also there's a phrase called "we run things," and it's like, you know, it's like you're running. You said you were running that team. You were running that entertainment company. Well, I was running my own things, running that. So it's a Jamaican slang for run things. We run things.
Love it.
Yeah. So when you were first starting out in 1986, who were your mentors? Who were you looking up to? Who inspired you to DJ?
Yeah, you know, I came from another multi-op. The guy that sort of opened the door and shed the light on hospitality, live events, entertaining, was an early adopter of the mobile DJ scene here in Chicago. His name was Kerry Wyman. And I'm one of probably a half a dozen proteges that all these years later are still doing it. But initially I was a guy that was running gear. I was installing, I was striking. We call it schlepping. I was schlepping. And he gave me an opportunity. He said, I like your personality. How would you like to spin? Do you have a budget to get some music together? And he gave me a shot and I fell in love. I remember the very first event I did. I was, shaking, but the adrenaline of all the minute to minute decisions and if then and being responsible and being in the limelight and, it just rang true. It just resonated in such an authentic way. I knew I was 19 and I knew this is what I wanted to do. And 4 years later, I would leave that environment and start my own. It was a daunting task filled with youth and inexperience at being a business person. And I almost think that is required of being a solopreneur, that if you knew all the answers, you might not delve in to this world, with all of the challenges and obstacles. I think that I matured as I developed and all of this unfolded, right? Because we know it's so much more than entertaining. We become marketers and managers and salespeople, and you're responsible to so many moving parts that, like I said, if you knew all of this up front, you might not choose to do it. Don't you think that's why so many entertainers, so many talented people are complacent with, I'll just work under an agency. I love the performing, the mixing, the, all of the front of house stuff, but maybe they don't want to be in the minutia of the process,
Yeah.
the follow-ups, the emails, the calls, all that accountability isn't for every entertainer, right? So I think that's why so many DJs, MCs love the idea of uh, being in a multi-op. They don't have to carry insurance.
Mhm.
They're not responsible 9 to 5. They can literally come in the seventh inning, ask their questions, connect with our client, and then deliver what they do best, use their gifts. you
Mhm.
know
Yeah.
i I know that probably like you, I learned that I had left and right brain,
Yeah.
right? There's the business side and there's the creative side. And that's the rare trait, right? That people like us can do both and survive things like COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I feel like a lot of really creative, artistic people, they might be missing that business gene a little bit, and it's something that we learn from experience. Like, I didn't get into this thinking this is going to be my career. This is going to be my next business. I got into this because I love the music and I wanted to have control over it. A little bit, I was the requester. I was fascinated with it. I loved all of it. I wanted to experience what it was like. And then, then later people started to offer me money and I'm like, oh, okay, let's learn how to do that part. And you said something earlier about your personality. He caught on to your personality. And I think so much of to be honest, so much of my success was because of my personality. It's who you're being. It's the vibes you bring when you enter that club, when you enter that wedding, the energy that is exchanged in a sales call with potential clients. Like they can hear and feel your passion for it, your enthusiasm's huge. So all of that, so that's cool that he was just like, hey, I like your personality, you want to give this a try.
True. And ironically, about 9 out of 10 of the people that I ultimately bring in and part of the interview process is it often I say your energy precedes you,
Uh-huh.
right? And you sort of get that vibe when you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Anybody that lights up a room, right, that is a difference maker, that's the kind of people you want to build a company like this around. You want to surround yourself with those go-getters, those difference makers. And there are some people, like you said, they don't always have that side, because there's some tremendous musicologists and brilliant mixers, but if they're not genuinely connecting in some of these other areas, it's harder to sell them, it's harder to put them in the right place. So you want to meet people that have the same common vision, where they're willing to get
Yeah.
in there, and really advocate for every situation they're in. And it's true, there's a good energy back and forth, whether it's with our team, the vendors, and of course our clients. And that's part of what makes a good relationship, right? Is that authentic, that for real connecting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And something that I've been experiencing more recent because of COVID and all of the, rescheduling, there was a lot of communication going back and forth with the planners, with the clients. So we did get to know each other even more and support each other through that in a way of, just like being speaking from our heart of like, really feeling compassion for one another. Like, not only are you having to, replan your wedding for maybe even a third time or whatever, then and I'm, having to adjust my whole life and business. And so just showing a lot of compassion and getting more intimate with my clients and the vendors. And that's something I didn't always do with the planners in particular. I'm like, okay, I get to build stronger relationships with them. And that's one of my new
Well,
strategies.
I try to tell everybody, I really promote this idea that don't think of us as suppliers, think of us as partners,
Mhm.
right? So our team is partnering with all these other folks for the same common goal. We want to have an excellent experience. And I think if you change that language enough, it'll start coming true in all of your actions and all of your follow-ups, that we're partners in this.
Yeah.
Instead of getting mad that the videographer or photographer is putting their backpacks and their junk behind you, realize that, maybe they're not thinking about what your needs are. So just instead of being pissed at them, you have a conversation with them. Hey, I'm really working on my cable management right now because I want everything to look pristine. And I noticed this doesn't look great behind us. I wonder if there's somewhere else you could park your, some of it is just how you say it, right?
Yeah.
Or, kill them with kindness, goes a lot further than rolling your eyes or being passive aggressive. Let's be in the space together and let's have a win-win.
No, absolutely. And aesthetics is another thing that I've been focusing more on and all in all areas. The colors I'm wearing, I got color typed by a stylist coach, and she's like, stop hiding in black. I'm hiding in black today, but I don't hide in black all the time. And that's, part of it. And I see a lot of DJs online in these Facebook groups really caring about the aesthetics. And I look at some of these setups and I'm like, wow, I want that. But then my gig this weekend, my wedding, I'm like, there's like a cement slab, like a basketball court. That was the dance floor. And I'm on the side of that under a canopy with gravel rocks. It's not even, it's like, it's not, my speakers are, it's just the whole thing. I'm like, when I look at my events, I'm like, okay, so I got a new, I'm going to just say, is it a facade or a facade?
Facade.
It's a facade. That's what I thought it was, but I still get confused. A facade. My husband got me one for my birthday recently. And I'm like, this thing's cool. I like this. I've been wanting that. But was I going to bring it to that gravel, uneven ground, like setup in the hills? It was like on their farm. I'm like, no, I don't think so. So it's like, and then I'm like, how am I going to keep this thing clean? So it's like, I have a lot of rustic venues going from barns, a lot of private property, a lot of dirt, generators. Like I don't have big, fancy, beautiful halls. So then it's like, well, how can I make it look as elegant and pretty and aesthetically pleasing as possible? Things that I'm learning.
You said the right thing. More and more DJs are becoming outcome focused, right? And some of that means pretty for the Insta,
Yeah.
social ready. But really, not every environment we do is ideal. It could be poor lighting or, poor flooring, however it comes together. So I think another great skill set of someone like you and I is to be tremendously resourceful and always say the sentence, all right, if we can't get to ideal, what is the next best thing? Let's get to the next best thing. So you're right. You can't put a gorgeous console, one of these beautiful new furniture pieces, in a rustic environment. I mean, every time we're outside, we collect dust. You go to your screen or your keyboard and it's just filthy. So, that kind of thinking, being outcome based and being resilient and resourceful, that's a differentiator. That's what makes people stand out in our industry.
Yeah, those are my two words right there. Resourceful and resilient. Definitely learned that.
Comes up again and again, right? With the people that survive this kind of career, you learn by doing. You jump right in there and you let's get to the next best thing.
Right. One thing I learned with this last gig, I was like, I want to come do a site visit because it's at your farm and I've never been there. And they forgot to tell me I needed 4-wheel drive. And here I come trying to plow up this freshly graded, steep dirt road, single lane road. And I'm coming up and I can't make it. And I didn't punch it enough. So that's one more thing to add to my list that I need to ask. There's a lot of questions that you get to ask before an event. Do you need 4-wheel drive? Do you want me there for the rehearsal? Where's the power? Is it adequate power? And then we're looking at these high winds we're having here in California. During the ceremony, I was right by that speaker on the stand, like thinking, is this thing? And it was off grid for the ceremony. So I had the battery powered little one and oh my God. And is the microphone on the stand going to fly over? So many things. I was having those nerves. It was the first wedding in 8 months. I was having all the nerves. I had all new gear too, or a lot of new gear, new speakers, new wireless microphone speaker for the ceremony. Is it gonna work? Is the internet gonna work up here? All the things. It was like, whew, everything went fine. Everything went fine. Everything was great. Everything was beautiful. The biggest paying wedding I've ever had. Like it was just,
But you realize it when you're making all of these executive decisions. You're making all of these calls on their behalf. A lot of it's being proactive, a lot of it's being thoughtful, a lot of it's being intentional. And that is part of the service that we're offering these folks, that we're going to advocate for you behind the scenes.
yeah.
You're not just paying for our time, you're not just paying for our gear, you're paying for that expertise, you're paying for that savvy, right? To be worry free, to be hassle free. They don't know about your process, like choosing the car that you're going to pull up in, right? They just want to know that you're sound checked and ready, content ready, and that you're going to read their crowd and maximize participation, right?
Yeah.
They can't articulate as well as you and I, but at the end of the day, that's what they're paying for. So I know that when we're in the intake process, being a really good listener, but also being really articulate and asking poignant questions, not only helps you serve them, but gives them comfort level.
Mhm.
When you're asking deeper questions, you often hear, oh, I didn't think about that, right?
Mhm.
Oh, I don't know. I have to talk to my fiance about, that's a good question. When that's part of also, it's subtle, but it's that persuasive nature that we are bold, we are astute, right? And we're going to crush it for them, that ultimately wins them over, say, using another DJ who just says, oh, 4 hours, $1,200, you get to speak. Who does that anymore? I don't talk about the equipment. I don't talk about the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Outcome oriented.
Yeah. Something I'm working at is just like really, I always tell them it's all about what you want, but like, this is what I provide. These are all the options. This is my job. I have whatever you need. And then however much you want, if you want me to make announcements and MC, I'll do that. If you don't, that's fine. Cause some people don't. Everyone is unique and has different needs.
Right. I think they appreciate when we say we can Camille. If you're looking for wild, if you're looking for subtle, tell us what it is you want. Let's see if this is a good fit. If I'm hearing you correctly, and then you repeat it back to them, and then you say, I'm either the right person. You know what? I don't know enough country to do that, but I have someone on my team who can. You sort of try to get the right fit, because I think by now, you've been doing this a long time. Not everyone is our client, right? We want to make sure that, I think at this point, we want this to be a win-win. You want clients who they put a lot of value in their entertainment,
Mhm.
right? Some are about the venue, some are about the menu. Some will have a smaller affair to accomplish their goals. Others will forego a photo booth or fancy invitation. People put, their event pie where they put it. And it's really important that you listen to that, because how many times do you hear, we just need, when someone says a sentence, just, I'm like, oh no, we just want music. We just need a speaker. We just need a microphone. They don't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
Do you really just need it? If you want the minimum, you can get the minimum.
Mhm.
We're not the right service for you.
Yeah. No,
We want to
absolutely.
deep dive. We want to get in there. We want to do it right. We want to attach our name to it. To
Yeah.
this day, I still feel like it's such a privilege when they call us and they're counting us for a milestone event or something really significant. Oh my God, you believe in me and my brand and this little world I've created. Well, I'm gonna roll my sleeves up, but I need to ask you some more questions.
Yeah.
we need to get in there and really understand what your goals are,
Yeah.
what your priorities are, what your aspirations are, and how much I can really take on of that. You
Right.
know, if it's outside of my lane, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
But if it feels right, oh yeah, I can't wait. Let's do
Right.
it.
I love a client that has a really clear vision of what they want. I admire that. And then when they're able to share that with me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we can make that happen.
No, and people have been around. I think it's almost ignorant to assume that they don't know. Brides have been to other friends' weddings. You know, people have been all over the world. People travel, that they go to Cancun, or they go to Europe. I mean, people have a more sophisticated palate and tend to know what they want. There are those that don't know that. I went to my last wedding, I don't remember what they served, and I said, well, that's ironic, because maybe food shouldn't be the most important thing to you. Because if you can't remember what you ate at the last wedding, most people can't, unless it was something exceptional, right? So maybe that's a lower priority.
Hmm.
All of these things kind of get put together in a way that, like I said at the beginning, when you're listening and you're sort of processing who they are, it can help you dial in to serving them even better. Because
Yeah.
for everybody that really has a vision, there's those that are just like, I don't know. I know I need music. I know I need a voice of God. I need someone to organize all this. Can you do that? Sure thing.
Hmm.
Let's talk.
Yeah. I remember I was talking with someone in an interview. I can't remember who it was exactly, but he was saying like you can learn a lot just from the initial first time they reach out to you. Like if they're emailing you from say an AOL email or Hotmail, like it shows that they're kind of not,
They will be Venmoing you.
yeah, exactly. Like if they Venmo you or they Cash App you. But yeah. So I wanted to talk about you as a speaker, because not only do you run this amazing company, which includes a lot more than just DJing, dancing, dancers, and all of that.
We unfolded over the years into more of a production company. It
Yeah.
has helped fill our weekdays,
Okay.
when we're offering AV solutions, but that's another conversation.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So talk to me about becoming a speaker and speaking at DJ conventions.
Yeah, you know, 34 years in being a solutionist, a problem solver, I realized through my own team that all of the coaching and mentoring I've done has really positively affected them. They're often taking a lot of these skills that we learn at live events and hospitality to other parts of their lives. And internally, my own team was pushing me to pay it forward. Like, you really have a voice with solid opinions that I think people would like to hear. So I'm actually a latecomer, because many of these conferences have been going on for 20 plus years. And truth is, I've only been going now for about 8 years. And I was inspired by other presenters, Marcello Pedalino, Scott Favor, Jeffrey Craig, Bobby Morgenstein. There's just so many characters out there that, as I absorbed what they were putting out, like I'm realizing in this conversation, there's such synergy and like-mindedness with the people that have lasted, that I wanted to get to know some of these folks better, and I wanted to be friends, and I loved the commiserating, which have turned into collaborations over the years. I think, like yourself, how lucky and fortunate are we that people are sharing, that people say, hey, could you help me in Pittsburgh? Can you help me in San Diego? And all of a sudden, where we're performing it's almost without bounds. And it all started in the convention world. So in my case, what was first? Canadian? Maybe it was Mobile Beat in Las Vegas. They were asking for papers. They said, if you'd like to present, let us know. And I believe my first one was on bar mitzvahs. And I was basically putting the message out that there are Jewish families everywhere. To say that they're not in Idaho or Utah is ridiculous. Rob Ferre brought me to Utah to do a family's mitzvah. Jewish families are everywhere, and like weddings, they're milestone events. And if you know how to push a few buttons that make them feel secure, you can have a really fruitful business. So I went, and this was against the grain. They didn't put me on the main stage. I was told, you know what, there's not enough attendees that really care about mitzvahs or know about mitzvahs. They don't have that trajectory. And I said, let me at them. They ended up putting me in a side salon that sat about 60 people, and we had north of 100 in attendance. From I think Ellen Berg to Mike Walter, there were quite a few people in my room, and because of that presentation, the years that would follow, I would be put on the main stage, and I was a fill-in at the last minute. Something happened, I think almost months later, in the Canadian DJ Association. Someone had gotten sick, and my name was in the mix. Here's a guy who can contribute. He has meaningful things to say. He's prepared to move the dial and, you know, add value, which is such a compliment. I love that. Now I was getting the calls for this kind of thing. And, you know, you end up meeting other people, you know, who are in the modus operatus of helping others. I think Mitch Taylor, I think Casey Kakuras. There's wonderful people out there that have said, I've got experience. Let me get the younger generation on the right path, you know, the business of the business. And that's sort of where I live in my head. Like, let's raise the bar. Let's keep this kind of good mojo going so that the younger people that are getting in, kind of like what you said, I love music, but I have to learn these things. Well, there was no, you know, outline on how to do, what to put in a contract, how to make a checklist, how to do your follow-ups, automations in a CRM. None of these things existed. So to any new person, I mean, how great is it to find that kind of mentorship, that kind of leadership that's willing to say, here's what worked for me, here's what sucked. and you know, that would be the biggest advice is to any young person, network with people that are experienced, that are savvy, that are wiser, and drink it in, you know, and then put your own spin on it. You know, I always open up on stage with, I don't know everything. I know what's worked for me. Yeah. And I'm willing to put it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, what has been one of your more recent topics for a presentation?
Well, a big one that I talk about is proactive habits for personal and professional success. I'm a big believer in the concept of habits, and I'm a big believer in getting ahead of the curve. A great example of this was during this awfulness, the pandemic. Like many of us providers of entertainment, I got caught in a flurry of families wanting to cancel or postpone or ask for their deposits back. And it was daunting. You know, you want to have the most compassion. You want to try to exercise your own rights, but also try to help them the best way possible. And what I ended up doing was, before all of this, one of my skill sets was the ability to, in the context of corporate meetings, you know, put the CEO on a screen, put his slide deck, you know, do the gala, do the awards. So I was used to putting things on screens, and it became like the light went off. I could help people with their wedding vows or their Torah services as a wingman. Let me, instead of being front of house, let me be back of house. Instead of me being a problem for their gathering, I could be a solution for their Zoom. So a couple months into all of this, I reached out to my weddings and my mitzvahs, and I said, why don't we apply that retainer, those funds, you won't lose it, and let me help you. And I would hear, well, my church has a camera, my uncle has an iPad, I've got a brother in IT. And I said, but the problem is they won't get to be present, right? Why don't you have me be your wingman, and I'll bring better microphones, better lighting, better cameras, and I'll add some emotion to all of this. It won't be a still camera that's wide angle. We'll do sweeping, beautiful, you know, catching of all the emotion. And that's sort of what tipped it in my favor. So after doing a bunch of these, it set me up for the rest of, from October of 20 till now. And we're still doing some, hybrid and some, virtual. But at the end of the day, it was because I was proactive. I kind of looked at the landscape and said, how do we get from here to there? Instead of hurting all these people and saying, sorry, you lost your deposit, good luck, I would hear, Howard, we can't have our son's bar mitzvah when he's in high school. We can't postpone it, and you could only say so many things. Well, it's a gift card. You can apply it to your husband's class reunion. I can do your office part. They don't want to hear that. But if you say the problem is you've got this wonderful event, let's corral that and think about how we can work together. Let's come up with the next best thing. That's my way.
Yeah.
And it worked, with passion and excitement, and let's transform what you see, what you experience, what you feel. And it's the same thing, whether it's live or online. Let's do it. Let's work together.
Yeah, I love that.
That's what I spoke about in my last time on stage, was being proactive and creating those habits that really set you up for success. I'll give you one, right now. When you think about all of our friends behind the scenes, the country clubs, the hotels, the restaurants, not everybody survived this. Many of our allies were furloughed, right? And some of them are not coming back. So if you are watching this and you want to be proactive, set yourself up, maybe 3 to 6 of these a week, but try to reconnect and find out who's in those positions now. Who's running food and beverage? Who's running the sales department? See if you can once again align yourself as a strategic partner, as a go-to. Don't presume, oh, I've been doing this for 7 years, they know me. They might not still be in that position for you. So if you're slower right now, or you don't have a big summer, you know what? Use that time to genuinely and personally connect with some of these new people. And some of them don't know who you are, and some of them don't know your brand. So in many cases, you're starting from scratch, right? So be energetic. Don't go outside your lane. Tell them what you're really good at and how you can add value to them, how you can give them comfort level, and see where it goes. Yeah. Follow up like a mad person. Follow up.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I am working on that. I am doing that. The fortune is in the follow-up, and it is all about those relationships. And I'm always like, okay, who is in charge? Who is in charge of this venue? Who's booking here? Who is the event coordinator of this venue? Who do I get to be friends with?
I'm telling you, it makes a big difference. You want to hit them with, I call it the trifecta. You want to be wildly awesome, you want to be superbly organized, and you want to be so easy to work with. You do those and you're consistent.
Yeah.
You could be doing this as long as you want.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something I pride myself in is really fast communication. People will be like, whoa, that was fast. Like,
people don't have attention spans. What's that? It's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that. So what advice do you have for somebody just starting out?
Well, like I said, I think that people perceive this as maybe cushy and maybe easier. But in reality, there's a lot of detail. And I think that if you're really earnest in your approach to serving people and you're outcome oriented, you're value focused, the next step is to align yourself with a giver, someone who is a coach or a mentor, someone who's been doing this a while, that is not intimidated by you, but rather willing to help you. I think that is of value. Of course, going to conferences is a big deal, not only for the networking, not only for the new equipment that you're exposed to, but all the ideas, other ways of looking at things, different people's perspective. You always walk away from these events, like the Marquee coming up in Chicago. It's this June. You always walk away with inspiration and ideas that you can implement. It's almost immediate.
Mm.
I have seen that in all of these shows, whether you're going to Vegas or Atlantic City, it skews to the DJs over 40. It really does. So I would say to all the young people, if this is your game plan, if this is your long haul, invest in education and networking.
Yeah, I love it. I was like, the DJ's over 40. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm 40 now. Like, I just turned 42
Welcome
weeks ago.
to the club!
I know, he's talking to me. I'm still getting used to it. I've only been 40 like a couple weeks. I love it. I know. I cannot wait to meet everyone at the convention. I will be in Vegas in February. I don't have any plans for any other ones. I think I'm already like booked out. I think it's something I kind of would need to plan ahead. I'd love to do the Atlantic City one. My mother-in-law just moved to New Jersey to the shore. So looking forward to that. And everyone that I speak to says that the conventions are just amazing and you'll just leave so like inspired and just energized. Yeah, just fired up.
You're around people who do what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I love doing these, is because I just love connecting with people that love it like I do. And I always learn, always learn new things. So thank you for sharing and being a part of the show. So how can we find you online and best support you?
Okay. I've got a website. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Insta. You can also hit me up on LinkedIn. It's AZ Entertainment, azentertainment.com, AZ Entertainment on Facebook. Personally, on Insta, I'm HW, Howard Wallach, AZ DJ, HW, AZ DJ. But Howard Wallach out of Chicago, they call me Top Dog, and I'm loving it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the series. It was so great to connect with you. And thanks everyone for tuning in. All right. Bye.